Yo, what up, YouTube? It's Richawd back with another video. Now, this will be in response to my last video, just kind of in addition, adding a little context to things. Because you guys have been saying some good things in the comment section, even the people who are being what you can say critical. I don't disagree with what y'all saying. A lot of y'all are saying like you're in this position because of you. This is what happens when you don't get a trade. This is what happens when you don't go to school after high school. All these things I'm aware of, bro. Here's the thing, just a little backstory, not excuses, just a backstory. You know, I graduated high school and I made a decision to not go to not go straight to college. Because I had hoop dreams. Yes, a lot of people, talked down on me for my dreams and for my visions for myself, but I really loved basketball, bro. You know, things in high school didn't work out how I wanted it. I graduated. I wasn't on anybody's radar, and that's what I wanted to do when I went to college. That's what I wanted to do, with my life. I wanted to, be an athlete, be a basketball player at a high level, you know. So for the next year or 2 years after high school, that's all I did pretty much, every day. And I lived in California. The weather was warm, so year round, I was able to play basketball. And I stuck with it for a while, and I really believed in the dream that if I keep going, if I keep working, I'm a eventually become good enough to go somewhere and walk on, or build a name for myself somewhere, even play intramural. Like that was just my whole dream, just go somewhere, play professional ball, because I felt like in high school I underachieved, and I felt like it was so much more I could do with basketball. So that was a real big passion of mine, and I stuck with it because I saw progress. I saw my game evolve to a level that even I didn't know that I could get to, and I was like, man, if I can make it this far, if I just keep working, I'm gonna get better and better and better. You know, things happen. I injured my ankle playing at the park with some people I shouldn't even been playing with, this is what happens when you play with people that don't play basketball. They usually injure you because they play too hard. They don't know footwork and positioning. So basically, he didn't give me room to land, injured my ankle. I was out for some months. You know, that kind of set me back. I recovered from that. You know what I'm saying? And I just kept playing, bro. But after a while, things just kind of didn't start to unfold. I transitioned from, and I still hooped, but I transitioned from just trying to hoop and play somewhere to, uh, I wanted to, start being a content creator. Like that's something I wanted to do. Like my whole mindset after high school, like I didn't want to do the traditional way. This is why I hate this so much. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, I didn't want to be in the shoes where I'm just, living a regular life, just working a little old job. Like I wanted to do something major, which I think a lot of people around high school, you have that kind of mentality. Like, especially in the era I was growing up in, it was a lot of people in my school, they was getting to the bag. A lot of people I know, they were doing certain things. I ain't gonna say what, but you know, um, you know, I'm gonna give certain clue words, credit cards, and maybe the credit card wasn't theirs type John. Like people was getting money, legally or illegally. People was getting money all around me, bro. And I wanted money too, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I wasn't built for the street life, like I was seeing a lot of people make it in the streets. I'm like, that's not the route that I wanted to. I'm not even gonna say I wasn't built for it. I just didn't want to take that route. Like if I chose to go through the streets or whatever, I'm sure I would have made it, bro. You know what I'm saying? But it probably would have came with a lot of trauma, a lot of close calls, you know. But is that a phone ringing? Okay, anyway. So anyway, bro, that was just the whole thing with me after high school, bro. Like, um, I just had big dreams, bro. Some may say it was delusional. Some may say you should have seen the writing on the wall. I went to college and I wasn't happy because I felt like I ain't have enough. I was always like not content with myself, always striving to do better. I always felt like I just needed to take time away to work on myself, a lot of things I learned after high school, like knowledge wise and all type of things, that was just kind of changing my mentality. And my mentality has always been, and it still is to this day, that I don't want to grow old working for somebody. I was always looking for an avenue to where I can monetize myself outside of working for people. And even in college, like allegedly, I wouldn't say like doing street stuff, but I sold products, if you know what I mean. It's pretty easy to do that in college. So I've always kind of had a hustler spirit. And yeah, man, like just certain things that I strive towards just didn't work out, bro. Like I put a lot of time into basketball, but I never excelled to the point I wanted to get to. Every time I get close or be knocking on the door of getting an opportunity, things will go south. I tried out for the team in college, didn't make it. So basketball just wasn't working out, bro. And after I didn't make the team in college, that was devastating for me. Because that's all I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't make the team. I didn't even make the B team. There was a lot of competition. I was down in the South around the niggas, so around a bunch of athletes, a bunch of talented, skilled people. So it was just a lot of competition, and I wasn't good enough, So that was devastating for me because my tryout, I did decent. You know what I'm saying? In the scrimmages, I hit a three, whatever. But it wasn't enough, bro. It was people in there jumping out the gym, bro, and I wasn't one of them people jumping out the gym. I was just a player that played with a lot of heart, fundamentals, could shoot a little bit, and, was a team player. But, like I said, there was people out that joint jumping out the gym, bro. Could dribble, could shoot, all that, bro. So their game was just on a different level than mine, and I was starting to see that, So once I started to see the reality of basketball not working out, it was tough because that's pretty much all I wanted to do from, I'd say, like middle school on when I really started taking basketball serious, but, reality just kind of struck. So now my mindset started to shift towards content creation, but my YouTube wasn't doing good. I had an old channel. It was called King Richawd. And, for many reasons, it just got shadow banned, bro. And the channel just was stuck in limbo and wasn't growing, So I ended up making this channel, and, my whole mentality was I was going to do things differently on here, try not to fall into the same mistakes as my last channel, and build it and grow and become a content creator, bro. I moved in with some friends. The goal, what I thought, one of the goals for mine was I wanted to make content with them. They knew people, they had like, they had certain things where we could all work as a group. I wanted to do like vlogs, like, all type of expansive stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? But like, we just wasn't all on the same accord like I thought we would be. Like, when I broached the topic of us like collabing on videos, my homie was like, they just wanted to do their own thing. They didn't want to collab. They didn't want to work together on it. And, that kind of threw me off because I'm like, bro, like, before I moved in with them, that's all I talked about, bro. Like, we gonna get our own pad. We gonna be making content. We gonna be doing all type of other stuff. We gonna make it, bro. Like, we gonna make it big, bro. Like the whole California, Los Angeles mentality. You know what I'm saying? Go somewhere, without a lot of money. Work on your purpose. Work on whatever you're trying to do, and try to get yourself exposure and make it, bro. Like, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to surround myself with people with that type of mentality, bro. But like I said, bro, we just wasn't on the same accord. My channel wasn't growing. We were struggling financially, So I eventually ended up having to move all the way back to the Midwest, back with my parents, bro. But I say all that to say these decisions led me to this point, Instead of when I didn't make the basketball team in college, just being like, all right, I'm gonna just work harder and come back for the next tryout. I left. I quit. I dropped out. It was devastating to me. We can go back in high school. You know what I'm saying? A senior year on varsity, wasn't getting the minutes that I felt that I deserved. Instead of just working harder and earning minutes, I quit. I went and played AAU. And then AAU didn't go how I wanted it. Quit AAU. So y'all can see it's been a pattern in my life of not sticking with things, with quitting. I've had, many jobs, bro. I had a job at a hospital. I ended up quitting because I just got tired of it. McDonald's, all type of jobs where I quit. And the hospital job, this was a decent job. One of those jobs where if you stuck around, you can, get different positions and go to different departments or whatever, ended up leaving there, was doing security, ended up leaving there, because I didn't like how management was talking to me or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of jobs or a lot of situations where I would quit or I would give up on it because of, how I was feeling emotionally about it, and though in the moment it felt like a power move, it felt like, yeah, like I ain't gonna let nobody play with me, blah, blah, blah. Like it never led to something great. It always led to a period where I'd be, stuck in limbo trying to figure it out because I'd just leave with no plan. I'd just be like, F it, And gratefully for me, I've always had a family to fall back on. So that'll always give me that extra courage to be like, man, I don't got to deal with this. I can go to the crib and, DoorDash, hustle around and figure stuff out until I find another job. Like, I don't got to deal with this. That was always kind of my mentality, But as I've gotten older, bro, like, my parents are older, you know what I'm saying? Both of my sisters, they finna graduate college, they doing what they supposed to be doing. I'm the only one that just really hasn't locked in and figured it out yet, My older brother doing good, you know what I'm saying? Older sister doing good, younger sister doing good. My other older sister doing good, It's just me kind of, haven't figured nothing out yet. Nothing has come to fruition yet, No one really takes my YouTube, at least in my family. No one really cares for it, even though I make money off of it because it's not super big and they don't really care for the content that I talk about it, and that's cool, Like I said, I've always, I always had the mentality of expanding my content, but this has just kind of been my niche, you know what I'm saying? This is what stuck. This is what has grown the channel, having these candid conversations, just talking about the real raw things, bro. Sometimes it leads to good things. Sometimes it leads to bad things. Sometimes, I test the boundaries and talk about certain topics that, maybe the average person will say, man, you should have left that one in the vote. My most viral videos, I've now taken them down. They may get re-uploaded later. They may not, bro. I got 2 videos with over 100,000 views, Still got the videos. They're just privated right now. But, talking about topics that my family didn't approve. After I uploaded those videos, I had mad people calling my mom, calling my dad, like, yo, like, well, what's Richawd doing, bro? Like, that nigga needs to take that video down. He not gonna be able to get no job with them videos up. Woo up the bam, like, it was all type of controversy. It's always been controversy surrounding my channel, especially with my family. And I guess you can say for good reason, but here we are now. You know what I'm saying? I built the channel. I've gotten it to a point to where it can be monetized. So now I'm like, man, how can I really maximize this channel? Like, what would the people really be interested in? That's the hard part, bro. Kind of expanding your content and still keeping the people that you built your content off of being raw and just being kind of unhinged. And that's what a lot of y'all love about me. I'm a be real passionate and just real vocal, and that's just what it is, bro. So some of y'all is entertaining, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm just at a point to where it's like, all right, bro, like I'm tired of venting about certain things. Like I said, it's still gonna be videos where I vent because I'm just human. Like my last video was just one of those where I just needed to vent, but I don't know, man. Like maybe I can get into I've been saying this, bro, getting into the podcast realm, or, it's just going to take a certain investment into the channel, bro. And it's going to take money. And that's why I've just been stressing about getting more bread, bro, and just bettering my situation, but I'm going to end the video with this because it's kind of just been a whole intro of me giving a backstory about how I am where I am right now. But I think these things are necessary, you got to build a connection with your following, bro. I don't want to be one of these robotic curators that, create soulless content, and you know what I'm saying? They don't really keep it real with you about what they going through. After a while, they become unrelatable, and you can tell like their content is forced. Some people, I ain't gonna say no names, but some people you can tell their content is forced, and it's just not genuine. You know, certain things they doing, you can tell like wasn't real, or they may have told somebody before the video like, "Hey, call me at this time and act like you doing this, so we can get a reaction from the fans." Like, it's just so much just fake stuff out there, bro. You know, and people love it. People eat it up. You know, so, hey, I guess you got to give the people what they want. They want the fake stuff. They want this. They want that. They want the drama. They want the childish, you know what I'm saying, type content. They want grown men acting like little teenagers. That's what the people want. That's how a lot of these streamers and all these people, they making money off of that, you know, off of shock value, you know. But I don't know, man. I kind of want to go into a different realm, and I believe that my channel can grow, like just being its own little thing, bro. You know, I want to do something innovative with my channel, you know, something that nobody's doing, you know. So that's really where I'm plotting and building towards it. And I'm gonna figure it out at some point, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stick with this channel. I'm gonna try to, you know, be more consistent. I haven't been as consistent this last month or two. I started off the year real consistent. I posted, you know, every day for about the first month, you know, all of January, a little bit of February. And then I kind of took a break and haven't been posting as regularly. But I you know, I still post, you know, at least once a week, you know. But that's just really my thing right now, bro. It's just trying to get the best out of this channel, because this channel can be, it can change my life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people really don't understand it, but a lot of people don't understand why I stick with it and why I keep making videos, bro. Like, if I really like find that niche and things really start to take off, like a lot of people's channels have taken off, bro, this can change everything. You know, I can look up one day and be 500,000 subscribers and be like, yo, I quit. You feel me? Like, word. Like, that's the dream, bro. That's the dream. And then get into, you know, day trading and stocks and all these other things where I can make passive revenue and never have to work for anybody again. That's what I'm trying to do, bro. That's what I'm trying to do. But it takes money to make money, bro. So I just need to be able to save up, you know, a couple $1,000s, bro, to where I can really invest in myself, bro. You know, I can invest in my YouTube. I can invest in a business. You know, I still want to get into real estate and all type of things, bro. You know, all type of things. Like, my vision is deeper than just being a working man, you know, just getting a trade and working for someone. Like, no, bro, like, I want to use working for somebody to, you know, invest in myself to where I can work for myself and to where I can employ people, you know. So my niggas don't got to, at least they not working for the man, they working for their homie. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to get better treatment working for your homie than working for the man. You know, start a landscaping business, start a carpeting business, start a construction business. Like, it's all type of different revenues where, you know, or avenues where you can make revenue, you know. So this is just kind of where I am right now, you know. I'm the type of person, I've taken risk. I bet on myself. And, you know, sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. I would say, you know, more times than not. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out, but that's not going to stop me from betting on myself. You know, I just got to make more calculated and responsible decisions, you know. And, you know, one of the things that I'm trying not to do anymore is just leave a job, you know, without something else lined up. So the topic of this video was so many people, you know, it's so many people saying just quit. It's so many people just quick to quit. This is why I gave y'all this whole backstory about how I quit in high school, how I left college, quit jobs, all this quitting. I've been a quitter for most of my life, right? And being a quitter gets you in a position that I'm in right now, you know? Just not where I want to be, obviously. You know, that speaks for itself. And for anybody out there who, you may have been a quitter, or you may still are a quitter, you know, we got to get out of this quitting mentality, bro, because life is always going to be hard. It's just going to get harder. When I start working for myself, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. A lot of people want to work for themselves until they got to work for themselves. It's very hard to be consistent, to be disciplined. Nigga, if you don't show up to work, you don't get paid. But nobody's going to be mad at you. Your manager or your job isn't going to be calling you like, where are you at? You're not going to get rolled up. But the money is going to slow down because you're not working. That's kind of the same as YouTube. If you don't post videos, you don't make enough revenue, you don't get paid at the end of the month. You got to make a certain amount of revenue. You got to make a certain amount of videos to get paid. I may not get paid this month because I ain't made enough videos and my videos ain't getting enough views to where I can just make a couple videos out the month and get paid. I got to be grinding, right? I got to get back to grinding if I want this to be another stream of revenue. I can't just be half stepping in. I got to really dive in and create content, bro. You know, so that's just where I'm at, bro. Like, I'm just speaking it, bro. Like within the next month, by the summertime, bro, I'm gonna have a better opportunity, bro. You know, right now I'm looking for a day job because I would even keep this job for a little while longer and get a day job just so I can stack some bread. You know, say I get a little day job where I work from like 6 to 2. You know what I'm saying? That's an 8-hour shift. I can get off of work and get to this job by 4 o'clock. I work this job from 4 to 8. It's just 4 hours part-time. You know, so if I can get a morning job and then keep this job, I would do it. You know, as long as the schedules line up and I still get my 2 days off a week because I need my 2 days off, you know, especially if I'm going to be working all day. You know what I'm saying? But I'm willing to do that right now, you know, while I'm trying to stack up money, fix my car, you know, invest in myself, invest in my channel, get a better computer, get a better camera. You know what I'm saying? Start building my studio. All these things that I want to do for myself is going to take money, bro. You know, so right now I'm willing to, even if I can find a job. Now, if I find a job and it's better, but the schedules don't align or the commute not going to work out, then I'm going to just have to get rid of this job. But I'm saying, like, I'm even willing to keep this job and grind 2 jobs for a little bit just to get some bread, bro. Because like I said, the majority of people that I work with, that's not their only job. That's just extra money for them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it just is what it is. You know, the job I'm at, bro, is not designed for you to make any type of substantial money just working there, you know. And I knew that going in. I just needed something. You know, I was applying to all type of places. I applied to banks. I applied to stores. I applied to restaurants. I applied to malls. Nigga, I was applying to everybody. Nobody was hiring a nigga. I applied to hospitals everywhere, bro. For all y'all saying like, oh, why you keep working warehouse jobs? You got too comfortable, bro. I promise you, I was trying to work somewhere else. I was trying to get a hospital job. I was trying to get a job at the mall. I was trying to do something different, bro. But nobody was hiring, bro. And this one little bum little job, bro. It was the one job that gave a brother a chance, bro. You know what I'm saying? But we going into the spring. It's going to be a lot of seasonal jobs opening up, you know, all type of stuff. So I'm sure I will find something by the summer, bro. And when I do, like I said, depending on the schedule, I would keep the job I'm at now and have another job and just grind it out for a little bit, stack some bread. Unless I get another job, say it's like a 12-hour shift, like an Amazon or something like that. Say I go back to Amazon, you know, next month, my 6 months of, you know, you basically go through a 6-month period where you can't get rehired. Next month, my 6-month period will be over. So say Amazon has a position opening up and I go back to Amazon. You know, I'll probably end up I'll probably end up having to leave this job because the schedules just wouldn't work out. But it'll be worth it because I'll be making enough money at Amazon where I wouldn't need this job anymore. But say I get a little day job. It's not, you know, paying a crazy amount of money, but I'm getting decent hours. I keep both of these just to stack some bread, bro. Like that's my mentality right now is I just need the bread first. I know all y'all saying like, bro, you got to invest in yourself. You got to look into this. You got to look into that. I get it, bro. I understand. But I got to invest in myself first, bro. I got to invest in this channel, you know, get a better setup so I can, you know what I'm saying, start doing reactions, you know what I'm saying, bringing a variety to this channel. You know, I don't just want to just have the same old content, you know. I want to start doing things differently, throwing y'all some curveballs. There's only so many ways you can milk a cow. Like I said, you just got to kind of find your niche and kind of find what people are interested in. It's really going to come down to y'all, bro. What do y'all support? I see certain videos where I may get political or I may get religious or start talking about the Bible. Not as many people are interested in that. YouTube don't really want to push those videos. When I'm venting, when I'm complaining, when I'm talking about the workforce, you know what I'm saying? I get better results, thousands of views, so it really just depends on y'all, bro. This is a business at the end of the day, bro. What will y'all support, bro? I'm gonna put the content out and I'm gonna just pay attention to the numbers, bro. I'm gonna try new things and I'm gonna pay attention to the numbers. Whatever y'all rock with, I'm gonna stick with that, bro. So y'all, the power is really in y'all's hands. Y'all can comment, y'all can give me ideas. What do y'all want to see me do? I've seen people say, hey, we want to see you outside. We want to see you do a vlog. I'm looking into that, bro. I want to do a vlog this summer for sure. But like I said, got to invest in myself. Got to get a camera. Got to, you know what I'm saying, get with a crew where, got to get me a cameraman. You feel me? And I'm the type of nigga, if you recording for me and I'm going to make money off this video, I'm going to throw you something. I'm going to throw you 50 or 100 to record for me, but I got to have money to make boss power moves like that, bro. But I'm going to get there, bro. I promise you, bro. I know I am, bro. I'm determined to get there, bro. I'm determined to better my situation and get bread. But that's my only focus right now, bro. Getting this money, bro. Bettering myself, becoming a respectable man, bro. Like, that's just the goal, bro. Sometimes I vent as I'm going through this process. It's hard, but I'm fighting through this shit, bro. I done ran into a brick wall, bro. I'm trying to run right through this wall, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just my mentality, bro. We got to fight and we got to power through this wall, bro. And once we get through the wall, bro, it's still a fight. The fight continues. It's always going to be a fight, bro. That's really what I want to leave y'all with, bro. I saw a video on somebody's channel that I watch. And there was a lady making close to $80,000 a year. She had kids and everything. And she quit her job because she was unhappy and she felt like she had a higher calling. Bro, I feel bad for her kids. Like, imagine your mom come home one day, bro. Bro, imagine your mom come home one day, bro. You know what I'm saying? And she like, hey, we may not have no food or whatever, or we may lose the house not because I got fired, because I just can't do it no more. It's too hard. It's too difficult, bro. It's been difficult since the beginning of time, bro. In the Bible, it said you're supposed to work 6 days and rest one day. It's people say, well, I have no life. I have no balance, bro. Like, really, what are you missing out on, bro? Like, all right. You may be missing out on like certain vacations, or you may see people that are just constantly traveling. Like I said, bro, it's a lot of people trying to live this travel here, travel there lifestyle. That's not a regular, normal lifestyle, bro. The average American isn't living like that, bro. And just because you're not living like that doesn't mean your life sucks, But I get it, bro. A lot of these jobs are demanding. A lot of these jobs are annoying. That's why I say my goal is to work for myself, bro. I get it, but not everybody's going to achieve that. I'm going to achieve it because I'm speaking it and I'm going to work towards it. But not everybody's going to achieve it, bro. You got to be realistic, bro. If you in your 40s and you still not working for yourself, you can still be working towards it and you can still dream and you can still try to do it. But you got to work this job, bro. This is it. You making almost $80,000 a year. That's good money. You gonna leave that because you're unhappy? Now my job is different. A lot of y'all like, hey man, you're not making no money anyway, bro. Like, and for real, bro. Like, honestly, bro, I could DoorDash and make what I make at this job, bro. No cap, bro. I'll probably make, bro. If I DoorDash 7 days a week or 6 days a week, I will make more money than I'm making working 5 days a week at this job, bro. No cap, bro. No cap, bro. This job is not paying no money, bro. None. So yeah, bro, it be in the back of my mind, but DoorDash is hit or miss, bro. It may be raining or it may be too cold or, you put a lot of wear and tear on your car. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's cool to just, you go somewhere, you work a set hours and you get a set pay, but I don't know, something will give, bro. But, this environment that I'm in, bro, is definitely not it, bro. I said in the last video, I respect my manager. It don't necessarily mean I like him. Yesterday he was getting on my nerves, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, dude always like in your ear about something, bro. It's like that shit, man, bro. That shit alone would drive someone out the door. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people don't quit that job. Not just because of the job alone, but on top of that, you got this nagging, it's like a nagging wife, bro. Everything you do, why you do, it's like, God damn, bro. Like, be quiet. Just let me work, bro. If I'm messing up, tell me I'm messing up. But it's like, you complaining about production, bro. We short on people, bro. We doing the best we can. Why is it moving so slow? Why the belt keep jamming? Because the belt is trash. Half of the rollers don't roll. You know what I'm saying? We working with what we got, brother. Just like you. You know. But I ain't gonna go off into that tangent again. I'm gonna end it here, bro. For those telling me to quit, I would love to. I would love to just walk in there and be like, F y'all, make a YouTube video, you know what I mean, me quitting my job, blah, blah. I'm sure that would go viral. People would love to see it. But I gotta make more responsible moves, bro. You know, that sounds great, but I gotta make more responsible moves, bro. Hey, maybe that'll be the move one day, you know? But not today. You know, I'm gonna stick it out, bro. I'm gonna find something better. You know, I'm gonna be looking, bro. Like once I get off of this video, as this video is uploading, I'm gonna be on Indeed, on all type of shit, putting in applications as we speak, bro. You know, and I'm gonna find something better, and things are gonna get better. But right now, things are just bad. It's been a struggle ever since November of last year when I got fired, bro, from my job, bro, working at Amazon, bro. It's been a struggle. Here we are in April. 5-6 months later, it's been a struggle, bro. It's difficult when you lose a decent paying job like that, bro, where you getting good, steady hours, bro. You know what I'm saying? You go from living a certain lifestyle to having to live a different lifestyle. It's been difficult, bro. And then on top of that, you can't find another job where you get the same amount of hours, the same amount of pay. It's been a grind, bro, but the end goal, bro, is to be in a better situation, bro. I still have in my visions to go back to school. That's still in the visions, bro. But if other things start to take off, or if other opportunities come my way where, things can really take off, then I'm gonna take those opportunities. But the goal right now is next fall to go back off to school, bro. But I have to be in a point financially where I feel comfortable. I wanna when I go off to school, I wanna have thousands of dollars saved up, bro. So I can just go there, get me a little campus job, get me a little part-time job, you know what I'm saying, and just have some pocket change, and all my responsibilities will pretty much be taken care of. That's my goal. So I don't have to put too much strain and too much stress on my parents. That's where I'm trying to get myself to. I don't want to be the broke college student. I want to go off to college with racks saved up, bro, and still have this YouTube making money, bro. But quitting is what we not going to do, bro. We got to fight, bro. We got to fight, bro. Because when you quit, you lose the war, man. When you quit, you lose the war, bro. It don't get no better. You know what I'm saying? Losing the job, quitting the job, especially with no backup plan, bro. Especially with nothing substantial lined up, bro. It's not the move, bro. It just isn't. But I love y'all, man. I'll be back with more content.